All right, one of the most frustrating things that I see business owners run into is someone who is stuck making just 6 figures a year, who knows that they could and are good enough to be making 7 figures per year. So they get all spun out on the wrong things and they literally start focusing on stuff that doesn't matter. And I can't blame them. In this video, I'm going to share with you what the issue is when you're stuck at 6 figures a year. It's actually a very simple thing once you see it, but until you see it, it's that thing that keeps you up at night, sweating bullets and wondering why you're not making more money. Let's dive in. All right, I decided to leave my full-time job back in 2017, and I left 2018, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I was like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Let's go for this. You know, I went and I survived back then was by doing a webinar each week. And I remember by month 2 or 3, I had sold about 200 grand in sales, and I just through hustle. And I remember there was a moment where I was like, I was exhausted though. And it's probably a feeling that a lot of you entrepreneurs have felt where you're like, there's a lot to do. I was a business of one. I was building the funnel and then putting the marketing out there. And then I was doing the webinar and then doing all the follow-up sequences and then fulfilling and building the programs and coaching. And then you got to learn taxes, you know, all the business. It was crazy. I have so much empathy for those of you who are kind of solo riding your business. In fact, I'd love to know, because I want to give you a big old round of applause. But, you know, business is a team sport, but let me know down below if you're still riding solo. All right. And in fact, I saw a few of you guys comment in one of my last videos about that. They're like, hey, I'm still going solo. And I get that. The answer to scaling to 7 figures a year was something I kind of stumbled into. I thought the way I was going to solve it was one thing, but I ended up doing something else also. And the second thing is actually what made that happen. So I don't know if I lucked into it or what, but I thought I had this misconception that the way I was going to get to 7 figures a year was by hiring people. And I was like, I'm tired. I need help. I'm doing too many roles. And that's true, right? Business is a team sport, and you rarely ever see someone hit 7 figures when they're just solo riding in their business. It's possible, especially now with all this AI out that can help you do a lot in your business, but that means your skill has to go way up as well. So it's possible, but it's not as probable as people are still saying that it might be. Sam Altman just came out recently and said, I think we're going to see the first solo founding billionaire in the next 10 years. And I agree with that. You can do, because of all these AI tools, a lot of business solo, but it's not as probable. And so I went out and I hired people and I brought on a team and I started pulling people in and I was like, hey, this is your role and you're going to do that. And let's have a weekly meeting. And yeah, here's a little scorecard metric that I can track your role with. And then let's hire this person over there. In those early days, I hired one guy and he was handling affiliate management and support tickets. And he's kind of my right-hand guy. I needed that. And I'm glad that I did that. For some of you, the reason why you may not be getting to 7 figures a year is literally because you are doing too much. So you're not staying in your zone of genius. Every time you go out and you keep doing these tasks, the repetitive tasks that frankly you could pay someone $20 an hour for, you should get that off your plate, right? You have a scale problem in terms of manpower. But the bigger reason that I find that people get stuck at the 6-figure range is actually because of a business concept that people just don't know. And so I'm going to draw it out right here. I've done whole workshops on this to help people who are still struggling the 6-figure range. You have to recognize that all business, every business on the planet, I don't care what you do, has 4 major functions. And I've talked briefly about these in a different context on this channel and other videos. But if you look at it, all companies need to be able to get leads. All companies need to be able to sell some of those leads. All companies need to be able to deliver what was sold, and then all companies need to be able to resell and upsell. Those are the 4 core functions. Those are the 4 core systems you must have inside the business. And one of the reasons people get stuck at the 6-figure range is that they've never defined any of these systems. They get a lead differently every day. They're like, I got to go sell my product, and they have no system for leads. Every lead is talked to differently. Every lead is courted differently. Every lead is found differently. And that's half of what burns entrepreneurs out, is that they haven't literally sat down and drawn out physically. And I mean literally drawn. I do it in Lucid Chart. I'll do it on a piece of paper, a workflow of what it looks like to get a lead for the company. And so they literally will just draw it. And this happens, and that happens, and that happens. And that's our process. That's our system for getting leads. And the reason this matters so much is that until you have a defined system for leads, you are the system. It's one of the harshest truths of business that, to be a business owner means that you own systems. It's not that I'm an entrepreneur and a founder and a CEO, the co-founder. I'm a chairman, I'm a board member. It's like, those are all different things. To be an entrepreneur just means that you came up with a product, but don't stay there. And so I find that people get stuck in the 6-figure per year bracket, they tend to never leave the entrepreneur mindset. They never actually elevate to the business owner mindset. Well, what does a business owner do? A business owner is in the business of systems, specifically these 4 systems. If I can't sit down and actually define what those systems are, it means it's tribal knowledge and it's staying in my head. How on earth can I build a funnel? How on earth every lead we're getting is different? And you can see how the pattern continues. If I literally sell and close people differently every single time, and I've not drawn out just like this, well, first this happens, and then this happens, and this happens. If I've never sat down and defined that out, I'm the sales system. And so it means that I have to go out and I have to constantly close people different every time. My sales pitch is different every time. Does that make sense? And it's exhausting. It's one of the things that people get stuck on. And you see how this pattern continues. If I deliver, you can't scale a business to 7 figures if you deliver for Susie Q differently than you deliver for Joe Schmo when you sold Joe Schmo, then you deliver to John. Does that make sense? If I don't have one dedicated delivery system, it means that I have to create several versions of delivery for every customer that comes in. And so you're literally creating a different version of the business for every single sale that comes in. And you can see how this very, very quickly becomes chaos and you are being pulled in a million different directions. And sometimes the grass is actually greener on the other side of the hill. I'm telling you right now, you have to sit down and be a strategic business owner and start thinking, what is my resell, upsell system, right? What's my process for selling somebody or upselling somebody? If you haven't sat down and literally drawn it out, then it's tribal knowledge and it sits in your head. I literally did this yesterday. Someone on my team was like, what's the process that we take somebody through when they buy that product? And I realized that I had never sat down and literally drawn out the flow. Hey, first someone fills out the form on this page, and then we have a call with them, and then we choose a date for their thing, their events, that when they rent our stage. That's what I was drawing for. And then we got to go out and build the funnel, and literally just the sequence of events that happens. It's not complicated most of the time. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't know what my sales system is, I don't know what my delivery system is, the thing I would encourage you to go do is just to literally capture what you're currently doing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw out, here's what I currently am doing to get leads, so that you can at least know when you're starting to break the mold. Because now you're in jeopardy of creating another different, slightly different version of your company again. And every different person you sell that is not your dream customer, you're creating different versions of the same company. How on earth could you hire someone to replace you? It's all tribal knowledge. This is one of the first reasons why people have a hard time getting out of the 6-figure range, is that they don't have any drawn or dedicated. And I'm not saying these are only 4. Think about the core processes and core functions in your business that just make the business run. If they're not drawn out, it means it lives in your head and you are the point of scale. You are what's being leveraged, and that leads to burnout. At the bare minimum, these 4, here's what it looks like in our business. This is literally the workflow of each of these 4 functions that make a lead happen, to make a sale happen, the delivery, resell, and upsell. So once you've done that, there's 2 other things that you need to look at here. All right. So number 1, just freaking draw your processes. The second thing that keeps people stuck in the 6-figure range is they don't do the thing that will really grow their company in the first place. If you think about it, if you're making 6 figures a year already, you have a lot more in your corner than you might be realizing. You have market validation. The customers are saying yes to your product. You've successfully been converting and delivering. Like, you have a thing, is my point. Getting to 6 figures is way harder than getting to 7, because you have all these questions you got to go figure out. Do they like my offer? How do I sell it? What's my sales pitch? What's my hook? How do I deliver it? You have so much of the infrastructure already figured out when you're at 6 figures that getting to 7 is a lot easier, and it's as simple as this. All you got to go do is you got to scale your leads. It's a matter of increasing that. You can get to 6 figures without ads, but it's pretty challenging to get to consistent 7 figures per year without ads. And paid advertising is beautiful because you get to speed up the eyeballs that are running into your offer. And I'm not saying you have to do this way, and there's certainly exceptions to this rule, but it tends to be that those people who are doing 7 figures, they're running paid ads. In fact, my business partner and wife, Gnarly, we were talking about this, and I was like looking backwards across my 11 years as an entrepreneur, and I was like, the areas in my life, in my business professional life, where I was making the most money was always when I was doing 2 things. We were running paid advertising and just trying to break even. That's number 1. And then the second thing is that we were consistently putting out content. Those 2 actions were enough noise to bring the eyeballs to us. Is a volume game, is my point. You need to scale leads. You got to get more volume to the front door. Don't do that until you've done number 1, though. Otherwise, you're going to start sending leads to different versions of your company, and you have no defined systems, and it can create chaos. Now, the third way that you get to 7 figures, and I found that this is one of those ways that most people don't look at, is this 4th category right here. Oh baby, the magic resell upsell phase. 9 times out of 10, I find that a business owner is always obsessed with getting new sales. It's easier to get what we call second money. Reselling / upselling someone is what's called second money. And I went and I verified this a couple months ago. It's 8 to 10 times more expensive to get a new sale than it is to resell someone another product. So really what we're doing with these first 3 functions of the business is I'm just getting them in the door and I'm delivering what they bought. But the real profitability of a company comes when you resell / upsell someone to something that's more expensive. Because you're going to go spend money on ads, a lot of times people freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, I paid $1 to Zucker in advertising and I only made $1 back. And I'm like, yeah, but break even is $1 million scenario. That's a big lesson. Break even is $1 million scenario because of step 3. And you're asking, what can I sell to my existing buyers lists? Buy easier than new sales. If you think about it, they've already practiced opening their wallet once before. If you think about it, they've already overcome objections to purchasing. The sales cycle that you'll find for the resell upsell category is a lot shorter than those people who've never bought anything from you. People always ask the question, well, then what do I sell people? It's actually quite easy. Ask them. You'll get this data in a lot of different ways. A lot of times it comes from support, or people are like, oh, I wish it did this or that. And you're like, ooh, that's outside the context of the offer that I sold you. But thank you so much for asking me. So let me give you the real world example of this. For several years, I went in and I was just selling these products and I was getting people in the front door and I was spending $1 in ads and we'd make out $1 to $3 in the back. The reason I kept doing it, even though sometimes I didn't make much money on the front end, is that I knew that second money is easier than first money. And so I just kept repeating steps 1 and 2. I'd come up with a new product. I'd go put ads out on it. I'd define the systems and the processes. And I was just building up a big buyers list. And I was listening to them. And they told me in ways they didn't know I was collecting. Sometimes I would literally send out a form. What do you wish I was providing for you? And what I started noticing, people always asked the exact same questions. I did that for a while without even doing step 4. And for me, what people started asking is like, Steve, I wish you had a mastermind. I wish that you had some kind of consulting, more one-on-one. Have you written a book that I can go deep dive into? You know what's really cool about that? I didn't do those things until the market asked me for them. Now, how much does that reduce my risk? They're already asking for it. And so this is what's super cool, is that you get to go out and just put all of your focus and energy on whatever your core offer is, figure out how you get leads, figure out how you sell, figure out how to deliver, figure out how you start turning on ads, figure out how you get scale and volume and eyeballs, start building a brand, those things. And then when you're time to resell and upsell, it's as simple as literally putting your ear to the ground of your existing buyers list and saying, what are you wanting? Oh, that's what you want? Meanwhile, I always knew that I was going to start a mastermind, but I didn't want to build it until they were asking for it, hot and bothered for it. And so 2 years ago, I actually created my mastermind called Titans of Industry. And because they were asking for it, my risk in putting out that product was a lot lower. Second money is easier than first money. And getting to those multi 7 figures and 7 figures in general usually comes once you've already paid to acquire the buyer and they're already been purchasing and interacting with you and liking your products. And now I just go to them and say, what else do you want? So I don't just mean upsells. I mean a whole other offer or product. I usually don't like businesses that have more than 3 core offers. And then sometimes they'll make a whole bunch of different little tiny front end products just for lead gen, things like that. But 3 core products, that's it. And that upper ticket product, even if you're in e-com, even if you're in SaaS, those are always the 2 people and categories are always like, oh, we don't have a high ticket thing. Yeah, but you can make another tier of your software. E-com can absolutely create a higher ticket thing. And I've seen it done multiple times. So it's like, wait to hear what they tell you. And then your risk goes way down when you actually start doing the second money moves. And those are the funnest moves to make because they're asking and they're begging for it and your risk goes way down. So those are 3 easy ways to start thinking about how to get past that 6-figure barrier. It is a real barrier. There's a rule in kind of bigger business. They call it the rule of 10 and 3, which looks like this. What you had to do to get to $30,000 a year, or let's just say a month, is a different business structure than what you got to get to do to making $100,000 a month, which is a different business structure than when you got to get to $300K per month. My spelling isn't great, which is a different business structure. It just goes up 310, 310, 310. But it's a different business structure than when you go to $1 million a month. And so if you're stuck at like this 30K range and making $100,000 a year, you got to elevate your business systems. It's not typically a product issue. You have a systems issue and you're still the system. You're the point of leverage. And so breaking through those barriers, you got to get a little bit more business savvy in terms of those systems and actually say, all right, what's my lead system? What's my sales? What's the delivery? My resub? So that I'm no longer the point of leverage. And then it's just about volume. It's a numbers game at that point. How How can I get as many eyeballs to interact with my brand as possible? Ads, content, get over it, do it. And then when I have buyers in there, real profitability scales like crazy because my existing buyers, I don't have to go pay Zuckerberg to get their attention again. They're already on my list. So my profitability goes through the roof and I can go and get to 7 figures and multi-7 figures rather quickly like that. All right, guys, I want you to brag to me. I love bragging. Bragging is amazing. It's hard to do it around friends and family who don't understand us weirdos as entrepreneurs. Don't drop links if you don't mind, but go in and tell me down below, hey, I'm in the 6-figure range. I'm in the 7-figure range. Or, hey, I'm working on my lead system right now. I'm working on my sales system right now. You're not being showboaty. You're celebrating your wins. Tell me down below where you're at in your business and what thing you now realize you need to go work on and fix to get to the next level in your company.